Marcus sat in the doctor's office, his hands trembling as he held the phone. 10 years. 10 long years of heartbreak, disappointment, and shattered dreams. The specialist had just delivered news that would change everything, but first, let me take you back to where it all began. You see, what happened to Marcus isn't just a story about becoming a father, it's about the incredible journey that taught him the true meaning of never giving up. And trust me, by the end of this story, you'll understand why this moment was worth every single tear he shed along the way. The phone call he was about to make would not only change his life forever, but it would also reveal a secret that his wife had been keeping from him for months. A secret that would explain everything that had happened in their marriage, and why she had been acting so strangely lately. But before we get to that life-changing moment, you need to know about the day that started it all, the day Marcus first heard the words that would haunt him for a decade. It was a cold Tuesday morning in 2014 when Marcus and Sarah first walked into Dr. Peterson's fertility clinic. They had been trying for 2 years, and Sarah's biological clock was ticking louder with each passing month. What they thought would be a routine consultation turned into the beginning of an emotional marathon that would test every fiber of their relationship. Dr. Peterson's words cut through the air like a knife. "I'm afraid the tests show severe male factor infertility. The chances of natural conception are less than 1%. Marcus felt the world crumble beneath his feet. Sarah squeezed his hand so tight he thought she might break his fingers, but he welcomed the pain. It was the only thing that felt real in that moment. But here's what Marcus didn't know: this devastating diagnosis was just the beginning of a journey that would reveal something extraordinary about the human spirit. Something that would make his eventual victory even more meaningful. And the secret Sarah was keeping? It was connected to this very moment in ways that would blow your mind. The first IVF attempt failed spectacularly. Sarah's body rejected the hormones, leaving her bedridden for weeks with severe ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. Marcus watched helplessly as his wife suffered, all while carrying the guilt that her pain was because of his defective body. The second attempt resulted in a chemical pregnancy, a cruel joke where hope lasted exactly 48 hours before being ripped away by a blood test. The third attempt never even made it to transfer day. But Marcus had no idea that during these dark months, Sarah was secretly documenting everything in a journal, not just their failures, but something else entirely. Something she discovered about Marcus that she couldn't bring herself to tell him. Something that would change how he saw himself forever. The fourth and fifth attempts brought new levels of heartbreak, but also brought them closer to a discovery that would rewrite their entire story. You won't believe what happened when they decided to take that break everyone kept suggesting they take. By year 3, their savings were gone. Their insurance had stopped covering treatments after the standard limit, and they were facing the impossible choice between buying a house and buying hope. Marcus took on 3 part-time jobs on top of his regular work, coming home exhausted only to find Sarah crying in the bathroom, holding another negative pregnancy test. Their friends stopped asking about their family plans. Family gatherings became minefields of awkward silences and well-meaning but painful advice. But what Marcus didn't realize was that Sarah had been secretly meeting with someone during this time, someone who would eventually become the key to everything. The journal she kept growing thicker, filled not just with their fertility journey, but with observations about Marcus that even he didn't know about himself. During their break from treatments, something extraordinary happened that would set the stage for their miracle. Something so unexpected that when Sarah finally told him about it years later, Marcus couldn't believe he had missed all the signs. The breaking point came in year 5. After their 7th failed IVF cycle, Sarah found Marcus in their would-be nursery at 3 a.m., surrounded by baby clothes they had bought in hopeful moments, sobbing uncontrollably. "Maybe we should stop," she whispered, and for the first time, Marcus agreed. They decided to pursue adoption, thinking their biological parenthood dreams were over forever. Little did they know, this decision would lead them down a path that would ultimately bring them exactly what they had been searching for, but in the most unexpected way possible. During the adoption process, they met a counselor who asked Marcus a question that no one had ever asked before, a question that would unlock a memory he had buried so deep, he had forgotten it existed. Sarah's journal entries during this time revealed something shocking about Marcus's character that she had been documenting for years. Something that would later become the very reason their miracle was possible. The adoption fell through when the birth mother changed her mind at the last minute. Marcus and Sarah held each other and cried until there were no tears left. They had painted the nursery yellow and filled it with stuffed animals. They had chosen names and started reading parenting books. Once again, their dreams were shattered. But this heartbreak led to an unexpected conversation with Sarah's sister, who mentioned something that made Sarah's eyes widen with realization. Something connected to the entries in her secret journal. That night, Sarah asked Marcus about his childhood in a way she never had before, and his answer confirmed what she had suspected for months. The next morning, she made a phone call that would change everything, but she decided to keep it secret until she knew for sure. Meanwhile, Marcus had started volunteering at a local children's hospital, not knowing that this decision would become the catalyst for their miracle. The kids there saw something in Marcus that he couldn't see in himself. Year 8 brought a new kind of pain, watching everyone around them become parents while they remained childless. Marcus's brother announced his third pregnancy. Sarah's best friend had twins. Even their neighbors, who had just started trying, were expecting. Marcus began to withdraw, convinced he was broken beyond repair. He stopped talking about the future, stopped making plans, stopped hoping. But Sarah's secret investigation was yielding incredible results. The journal she had been keeping was revealing patterns about Marcus that even medical professionals had missed. She was building a case, gathering evidence for something that would vindicate everything Marcus had been blaming himself for. During this time, Marcus started having recurring dreams about a child calling him daddy, but he dismissed them as wishful thinking. Sarah knew better. She knew these dreams were connected to something real, something she was about to prove. The phone calls she was making behind his back were all leading to this moment. By year 9, they had stopped talking about children altogether. Marcus threw himself into work and his hospital volunteering, while Sarah seemed to be on the phone constantly, though she claimed it was work-related. Marcus began to suspect she was having an affair, and their marriage started cracking under the weight of unspoken suspicions and buried grief. They slept in separate bedrooms for the first time in their relationship. But what Marcus interpreted as distance was actually Sarah working tirelessly on the biggest surprise of his life. Every phone call, every secret meeting, every mysterious appointment was part of an elaborate plan to give Marcus something he had given up hoping for. The children at the hospital kept asking Marcus when he was going to bring his own kids to visit, as if they knew something he didn't. One little girl named Emma kept drawing pictures of Marcus with a baby, insisting that she had dreamed about it. Sarah's journal from this period reveals her growing excitement as all the pieces of her secret plan began falling into place. Year 10 arrived with Marcus at his lowest point. He had convinced himself that he was fundamentally flawed, that his body's inability to create life meant he was somehow less of a man. He stopped volunteering at the hospital, stopped seeing friends, stopped engaging with life itself. Sarah watched her husband disappear into himself, but she knew she was just weeks away from proving him wrong about everything. The final pieces of her investigation had confirmed what she had suspected all along: Marcus wasn't the problem. In fact, the truth was so shocking that when she finally learned it, she had to sit down and process it for hours. The medical files she had been secretly obtaining, the second opinions from specialists Marcus didn't even know existed, the genetic testing she had arranged without his knowledge, everything pointed to the same incredible conclusion. Marcus had been carrying a burden of shame that never belonged to him. And now, Sarah was about to lift that burden forever with the most amazing news any couple could receive. The phone rang on a Tuesday morning, exactly 10 years after their first devastating diagnosis. Marcus almost didn't answer, he had been avoiding calls for weeks. But something made him pick up. Dr. Martinez, a specialist Sarah had been secretly consulting, was on the other line with news that would shatter everything Marcus thought he knew about himself. "Mr. Johnson, I need to see you and your wife immediately. We've discovered something extraordinary." As Marcus drove to the appointment, his hands shaking on the steering wheel, he had no idea that Sarah was already there, waiting with tears of joy in her eyes and a secret that would explain everything. The journal she finally showed him contained 10 years of observations, evidence, and hope that she had never stopped carrying. But the biggest surprise was still to come. As they sat in that doctor's office, Dr. Martinez delivered the words that would change their lives forever. "Congratulations, you're going to be parents. And Marcus, you need to know, you were never the problem." The truth about what had really happened would make Marcus realize that sometimes, the greatest miracles come to those who refuse to stop believing, even when hope seems impossible. Marcus and Sarah's story isn't just about fertility struggles, it's a mirror reflecting the battles we all face in our daily lives. How many times have you blamed yourself for something that wasn't actually your fault? How often have you carried shame that never belonged to you in the first place? Think about that promotion you didn't get, and you convinced yourself you weren't good enough. Think about that relationship that ended, and you decided you were unlovable. Think about that business that failed, and you concluded you weren't cut out for success. Marcus spent 10 years believing his body was broken, carrying guilt that was destroying his marriage and his sense of self-worth. But the truth was, he was never the problem. We live in a world that teaches us to blame ourselves first. When things go wrong, we immediately look inward and ask, "What's wrong with me?" But sometimes, more often than we realize, we're fighting battles that aren't ours to fight. We're carrying burdens that belong to circumstances, timing, or factors completely outside our control. Sarah's secret wasn't just about medical records and second opinions. Her secret was love that refuses to give up. For 10 years, while Marcus was drowning in self-doubt, she was quietly fighting for their truth. She represents that voice inside all of us that knows our worth, even when we can't see it ourselves. Sometimes it takes someone else's unwavering belief in us to remind us of who we really are. But here's the most powerful lesson from their journey: persistence isn't always about pushing harder. Sometimes it's about holding space for possibility when everything looks impossible. Marcus and Sarah didn't just survive their trials, they grew stronger because of them. Every failed attempt, every heartbreak, every moment of despair was building character, resilience, and a deeper appreciation for the miracle that was always coming their way. In your own life, you might be in year 3 of your struggle, or year 7, or maybe you're just starting year 1. The timeline doesn't matter. What matters is understanding that your worth isn't determined by your current circumstances. Your value as a human being isn't measured by what you can or can't produce, achieve, or become. That job rejection might be protecting you from a toxic workplace. That relationship that ended might be making space for the love of your life to enter. That business failure might be the education you needed before your breakthrough success. Just like Marcus was never actually infertile, you might not actually be the problem you think you are. The children at the hospital saw something in Marcus that he couldn't see in himself. They drew pictures of him with a baby before he ever became a father. Sometimes the world around us reflects our potential back to us, but we're too caught up in our pain to notice the signs. Look around your life right now. Who believes in you more than you believe in yourself? What signs are you missing because you're too focused on what's going wrong? What dreams are you abandoning just when they might be about to come true? Marcus's story teaches us that miracles often come disguised as impossibilities. They arrive not when we're strong and confident, but when we're broken and desperate. They show up not to reward our perfection, but to heal our deepest wounds and transform our greatest fears into our most beautiful realities. If you've made it this far, you're part of something special. You've just witnessed a story about the incredible power of hope, love, and never giving up on yourself. But more importantly, you've been reminded that your own story isn't over yet. Whatever chapter you're living through right now, whether it feels like the beginning, the middle, or what you think might be the end, there are still pages to be written. This video found you for a reason. Maybe you needed to hear that you're not broken. Maybe you needed to remember that someone believes in you, even when you can't believe in yourself. Maybe you needed the reminder that miracles are real, and you're worthy of receiving one. But here's what I need from you: don't let this feeling fade. Don't close this video and forget what you felt in these moments. Take this energy, this hope, this renewed faith in your own story, and carry it with you into tomorrow. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Be the Sarah in someone else's story, the person who refuses to give up on them when they've given up on themselves. If Marcus and Sarah's journey moved you, if their story gave you hope or changed how you see your own struggles, then hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is about more than entertainment, it's about reminding each other that we're all capable of miracles, that we all deserve happy endings, and that the best chapters of our lives might still be unwritten. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Maybe it's a friend who's going through their own impossible situation. Maybe it's a family member who's lost hope. Maybe it's a stranger on social media who posted something that made you think of Marcus's journey. When we share stories of triumph, we multiply hope in the world. Leave a comment below and tell me, what's your 10-year journey that you're still fighting through? What dream are you refusing to give up on, even when everyone else thinks you should? Your story matters, and sharing it might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to keep going. Remember, every subscriber to this channel is someone who believes in the power of never giving up. Every like is a vote for hope. Every share is a declaration that miracles are still possible. You're not just supporting a channel, you're joining a community of people who refuse to let their stories end in defeat. The notification bell is right there. Hit it, because you don't want to miss the next story that might change everything for you. Until next time, remember, you are not broken, you are not the problem, and your miracle might be just one phone call away.